Hey there, 49ers fans. Tom Downey here, subbing in today because we got to talk about Matthew Stafford and the possibility he ends up being traded to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, as I'm sure you all know, Stafford and the Lions have agreed it's time to part ways, it's time to move on, and Stafford's going to be traded this offseason to a team that we still need to figure out. And the Niners, I would argue, unsurprisingly, are one of the teams linked to Matthew Stafford. The Colts have been in there, the Patriots, a couple others as well, but the Niners appear to be situated as one of the early favorites. Of course, they only just revealed, it was only just revealed that Stafford was going to be on the block and was going to be traded here. Now, for the Niners, there's some intrigue here for obvious reasons. Number one, I think it's time to find a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, who is still a solid enough starter, but the Niners are in the middle of a possible win to the defense, even without their defensive coordinators. Now with the Jets, of course, Robert Saleh. Still a good defense. I think we saw this year that it's just not quite good enough with where the Niners are at on offense to roll it back with one Jimmy Garoppolo. And Nick Mullen's a free agent, by the way. CJ Beathard, we know those guys aren't the star players anyway. They aren't good enough either. So for the Niners, going after a Matthew Stafford, I think makes a lot of sense. Now, we'll talk about Deshaun and draft in a minute. Don't worry, guys. But Stafford gives you a little bit more than Jimmy Garoppolo in terms of upside, in terms of being able to make plays out of structure, in terms of deep passing than what Jimmy Garoppolo did. Stafford might be a little bit more turnover prone, though not really compared to Jimmy Garoppolo, which we'll dive into, but he offers you more upside. Yes, he's older than Jimmy G, but he's also cheaper. Next 2 years on his contract, you owe him $43 million. Now, in the event that Stafford wants a new deal, I think that adjusts things, but where he's at right now, it's actually pretty team-friendly. So would you guys trade for Matt Stafford? Just simple yes or no question here. Get your votes in for me. Why for yes you would, and for no you wouldn't? This is the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get the ad break, scroll on down and type your Y or your N. Let's talk more about then Jimmy G versus Matthew Stafford. We'll hang out on this graphic for a little bit here. Completion percentage-wise, Jimmy Garoppolo has the advantage there, although we also know downfield vertical passing, a little bit better for Stafford, right? Yards per attempt, actually very similar, 8.2 compared to 8. Both of those numbers are actually really good. Quarterback rating is almost identical, 99.8 versus 99. Where things stick out and where the difference is and why I think Stafford is an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo is touchdowns to interceptions. Now, Stafford played 2 more games over this time frame because, Jimmy G's all banged up, right? More touchdowns, though, substantially more, 11, and interceptions are down despite more attempts. I think the higher upside for Matthew Stafford, putting him in a Kyle Shanahan-led offense, I think he's the best offensive mind in the NFL. I think he would unlock a level of Stafford we haven't seen before, and he's doing it with the Lions, by the way. I think Stafford's a better player. But pick a quarterback here for me, and you can factor in the cost of a trade, which we'll get to here in a little bit as well. Pick a QB. Type JG for Jimmy Garoppolo or type MS for Matthew Stafford. I think the Niners are going to explore all of their options at quarterback. They did that last year in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo. This year, unlike the free agency market, appears to be more of a trade market for quarterbacks this offseason. And we'll break down all the moves for San Francisco, whether it's a trade or they move in the draft, or they go sign a quarterback. Whatever it is, we will discuss it. Hit that big red button. It's youtube.com/49erstv. And don't miss any of the videos pretty much every single day we have for you guys around the San Francisco 49ers. Now, you guys might not like my trade idea, but let me present it. You can vote, and then I'll try to break it down. Niners get Matthew Stafford to be their new quarterback for at least 2 years and get an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo as far as I'm concerned. Lions get the number 12 overall pick, a 2022 second-rounder, and a 2021 fifth-round pick. Now, a couple notes on that part. You got to give up the first. There's no way you're getting without it. I'm sorry. A 2022 second, that should be in the 60s, right? That's a late second-round pick. And you get 2 extra third-round picks since Robert Saleh left for the Jets because the NFL's diversity hiring process and comp pick has changed. So you get extra picks there. And you got a 2020 fifth-round pick coming to you in the comp pick process via Emmanuel Sanders, losing him in free agency. Pretty good there. So would you do this trade? Get your votes in here. A for accept it. D for decline. You're not interested in it whatsoever. Get your votes in, and then I'll present some supporting arguments that at least I believe in terms of why it's so much for a quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys have a 49ers face mask. Stay safe out there. chatsports.com/49mask. I'll put that link both in the comments and in the description. That way you guys don't miss out on anything. It's not just the one of the 3-packs you see right here. There's a ridiculous amount of variety and style. Some neck gaiters, which is great for the cold. chatsports.com/49mask. Not all of them are currently 75% off, but some of them, like the 3-packs, are. There's some significant savings to be had there. chatsports.com/49mask. Go check that out today. It's chatsports.com/49mask. Now again, I gave up a lot to get Matthew Stafford in that hypothetical trade, but that's the going rate for that caliber of player. Carson Palmer, who was retired with the Bengals, went for a first and a future second. See? Jay Cutler went for 2 firsts, a third, and some other random pieces. Kyle Orton went in that deal as well, but like whatever, it's Kyle Orton. Jamal Adams went for 2 firsts, a third. They sent a 4th back, and then they also gave up Bradley McDougall. So I think you're looking at something along these lines. I think if you're the Lions, you might be asking for 2 firsts and a third because a safety got that. You've got a quarterback, the former number 1 overall pick. Yes, he's on the wrong side of 30, but is still playing at a top 15 quarterback level. Now, the reason why I didn't give up multiple firsts is that we have to acknowledge not all firsts are created equal, right? The Niners pick at number 12 is worth a lot more than the Colts pick at number 21. All these 4 teams, by the way, have been linked to Matthew Stafford. The difference in the value, if you use the updated NFL trade charts that teams use, between 12 and 15, that's an extra 4th-round pick the Lions are getting in terms of pure value. From the Colts, it's a whole extra 2nd-rounder. So as far as I'm concerned, giving up a first, a future, likely late 2nd-round pick, and a 5th-rounder, it's not that bad. Like, shoot, DeForest Buckner netted the 49ers a 1st-round pick. Like, Matthew Stafford's worth at least that. Now, maybe you don't want to go after Stafford because you got somebody else in mind. And again, if you can get Deshaun Watson from Houston, he's going to cost you a lot more. You do it. Because Deshaun's a top 10, top 5, whatever NFL quarterback right now. He's younger than Matthew Stafford. He's better than Matthew Stafford. His contract isn't that obscene for his new team. If you can go get Deshaun Watson, you do it. But the Lions are going to try to move quickly on Stafford because he's got some bonuses coming up that the Lions don't want to pay. So this deal will probably be done before the 5th day of the new league year. So that's a tight time frame. Deshaun says he wants out. At least that's what he's been leaking to the media. And Houston says, no, we're not going to trade him, what they've been leaking to the media. So they might drag this out. So if you're San Francisco, you got to make a decision. Are you convinced you can land Deshaun Watson? If so, don't trade for Stafford. If you don't think you're going to get him, if you think he's going to go somewhere else by either choice or by the Texans trade, well, then maybe you do look at Stafford as your next best option. He'd also be expensive, but if you're John Lynch, if you're Kyle Shanahan, and you think Matthew Stafford over Jimmy Garoppolo is the difference in terms of coming up just short again in the postseason versus winning it, I think you go make that move to get Stafford. So if all things are equal, factoring in, the trades, but you can get all of them, who would you choose? Type S for Matthew Stafford, type W for Deshaun Watson, type Jimmy Garoppolo, G for Jimmy Garoppolo, or type in P for go get a draft pick instead, maybe to Trey Lance or Zach Wilson or whatever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I do think there's a very real chance this San Francisco 49ers team looks heavily into a Matthew Stafford and other quarterbacks this offseason. They almost publicly, but in the end it came out, flirted with Tom Brady last offseason. And John Lynch's and Shanahan's public comments, they're like, yeah, we're going to look for upgrades at all positions, including quarterback, because, that makes sense for them, right? You save money going from Jimmy Garoppolo to Stafford. Heck, maybe you can trade Jimmy Garoppolo for something to lessen the trade cost of moving on from Stafford. I don't think Garoppolo makes sense going to the Lions as part of the deal, but maybe the Patriots want him back for something similar-ish to what the Niners gave up to get him a couple years ago. In the end, I think Stafford might be enough of an upgrade over Garoppolo to justify what would be an expensive cost in terms of getting a new quarterback. It's expensive. That is the reality of making big-time moves. There's a reason we don't see very many quarterbacks get traded, because they're expensive, both to pay and to absorb in a trade value. So from that perspective, I know it's costly, But if you're the Niners, if you're Shanahan, I think you believe you can get the most out of Stafford, maybe even more than what we've seen in the past. Is he a top 5 quarterback like Deshaun Watson is? No, not really. Is he top 10? Maybe with Kyle Shanahan, but I think it's a worthwhile pursuit for the Niners, and we'll see what happens as the weeks move on.